According to many, the Arizona Cardinals are among the most improved teams in the NFL this offseason. Part of that is their transformation of the defensive secondary. If you watched Cardinals games last season, you'll know. But if you didn't, the least I can say is that they were tough to watch. In all fairness, Nick Rallis and company didn't have much to work with, heading into week 1 banking on Marco Wilson being the cornerback 1. A proactive offseason that saw 3 corners drafted and more help added via free agency has set up this group for far more success. With training camp looming, the secondary has been a hot topic for many Cardinals fans. Today, I will share my thoughts. Previously, I've looked at the wide receiver group, so if you saw that one, this video will be similarly structured, looking at the returning players, then the additions. Before we begin, if you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe to the channel to see more Cardinals content. As mentioned in 2023, the Cardinals relied on a lot of young guys playing to their peak, which was unrealistic from the beginning. Entering the season, we knew it would be bad, but not necessarily that bad. Marco Wilson headlines the short list of departures, as he was released late last season. Antonio Hamilton, who was the team's best corner in my opinion, will also not return in 2024. Aside from those two, Arizona's corner group was almost all rookies. Garrett Williams, who missed the first portion of the season with a knee injury that he suffered in college, was a pleasant surprise, being able to slot into the lineup about midway through the season and make an impact from his first game on. 6th-round rookie Keitrell Clark played well given the circumstances, leading all Cardinals corners in tackles with 43. Same with undrafted rookie Starlin Thomas. Both guys probably didn't expect to see as much playing time as they did, and obviously they did have their struggles, but I personally was impressed by them. The 2 anchors of the defense are Jalen Thompson and Budda Baker. Baker had a down year but was playing through an injury and still made the Pro Bowl in 2023, adding to his reputation as a top safety in football. Jalen Thompson was an absolute stud, leading the team in interceptions with 4 and solo tackles with 59. An unsung hero and still the most underrated safety in the NFL. One of the best safety duos in the league, and Arizona improved their depth at that position, which I will get to later on. Now on to the offseason additions. In free agency, Sean Murphy-Bunting was the headline. A Super Bowl champion with Tampa Bay, and now the oldest corner on the Cardinals at just 27. The experience that he brings isn't a ton, but looking at it from a different perspective would lead one to believe that SMB's best football is still ahead of him, and it will be played in the desert, as he is locked up for the next 3 years with the Cardinals. $25.5 million is the salary, which when you look around the league isn't all that high. However, that price likely comes with the notion that Sean Murphy-Bunting is the CB1, which to me isn't a bad thing. He's been steady throughout his career. During the Bucs Super Bowl run, he would become the first player since Ed Reed to have an interception in each of his first 3 playoff games. He did struggle with injuries and consistency with the Bucs, but his highs outweighed his lows. He chose to move on after 4 years in Tampa, taking his talents to the Tennessee Titans, explaining that it was due to his desire to play outside rather than on the inside as he did with the Bucs. The bottom line for the Cardinals is that SMB is an upgrade, one of several that they made to this position group. As we now move on to the draft. Headlined by Max Melton at pick 43, who is one of my favorites from the class. He's 22 years old and put together a solid career at Rutgers. Boomer bust play style, meaning that he would make plays but also got burned occasionally. His tackling needs work, but this coaching staff can definitely iron those things out. His athletic ability is unbelievable and his ceiling is very high. If the Cardinals can develop him throughout training camp and into the season, he will not only be very good and an upgrade from last year, but also very likely a week 1 starter in my opinion. Next up is Elijah Jones, a guy that many are super high on heading into camp. He's a bit older at 24 years old, and he's another great athlete who had an outstanding college career. Possibly a hidden gem for the Cardinals as they used selection number 90 overall on Jones. He's a big body corner who uses his size to his advantage, and he is yet another upgrade for this position. The team's final pick was used on University of Miami corner Jaden Davis, who spent his first 4 college seasons playing for the Oklahoma Sooners, before transferring to Miami prior to 2023. There is not much on him aside from the fact that he was taken with the pick from the Giants that we got in exchange for Isaiah Simmons. We'll go back to the safeties to round out the additions with Dadrian Taylor Demerson out of Texas Tech. Aside from Marv, Rabbit is my favorite pick from this draft class. He was selected at 104 after being a ball-hawking safety in college. A bit undersized, but they said the same thing about another safety that plays for the Cardinals. The most exciting part for me is that he won't be expected to start. He can sit and learn behind 2 of the league's best, and hopefully develop. In college, his aggression sometimes resulted in big plays against, but that's something that he will get better at with more experience. Depth at this position is vital. If JT or Buddha were to get injured again, I'd be confident in Taylor Demerson making the most out of his opportunity. If I were to guess, the starters for this defensive group would be Buddha Baker and Jalen Thompson at safety, then Sean Murphy-Bunting as the number 1 corner on the outside, opposite to Max Melton, and then Garrett Williams in the slot. Compared to week 1 of 2023, this looks like the prime Legion of Boom. Using one word to describe the secondary, I would say potential. Obviously, it's a super young core, especially among the corners, as the most experienced player has 5 years in the league. Sophomores like Garrett Williams and Keitrell Clark will be counted on to make the next step, while all the rookies will have a real chance of seeing the field. If these guys can play up to their potential, which I mentioned at the start of the video to be pretty unrealistic to expect, the Cardinals secondary will be fine. But I think I'd expect a lot of growing pains. It's not going to be perfect right out of the chute, but that's par from the course with a young team, and I think you could say the same thing about receivers or just about any other position on this team. Once again, it's a major upgrade from 2023, which is all we could hope for. It'll be interesting to see what Rallis and Gannon do, obviously having more to work with than last year, and we've seen from their past in Philadelphia what they were able to put together on that team with a very good secondary. The only thing was they were far more experienced. Guys like Darius Slay and James Bradbury were veterans by that point. Now you've got guys like Garrett Williams, who's going to be expected to be a leader come week 1. I'm not saying that Garrett isn't capable of that, but it's a lot to ask out of a second-year player. The main message to pass to Cardinals fans is be patient. Like I said, these guys are going to have their growing pains, and you just have to expect it. What Monti Ossenfort was able to do this offseason to upgrade this position is going to pay off in the long run. Even if it's not this year, you've got a lot of young guys that are going to develop, and I think in the future, like 2-3 years down the road, this is going to be one of the top secondaries in football. Let me know what you guys think and who you think is going to be the biggest surprise from the secondary this season. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and let me know what position group you'd like to see me run over next for the Cardinals heading into training camp. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.